Recording in progress. On the second page of the Maimer of Ish Yehudi Hoy B'Shoshan Abira, and we are on the second paragraph on the page. So after speaking about how there's the two levels, like we mentioned before, of Simcha, in Simcha's Purim, the Simcha of before Purim, the Simcha of regular Yom Tov, and then there's the Simcha of Purim. So now we will also speak about how there is by other inyanim. In a similar vein, it's also concerning the idea of bris milah. וששון זו milah, like it says, ליהודים היתה אורה ושמחה וששון ויקר. What's the ששון referring to? It's referring to the bris milah. הנה המילה היא בריסי ובשרכם עד עולם כלשון הכוסף. The bris milah is a covenant in your flesh forever. That's the expression that it says in the pasuk. But this covenant comes from above. It's not something that we do, it's something that Hashem did. I feel like it says, even concerning Avraham Avinu, Avraham Avinu was before Matan Torah. It says, like we say in Shachris every morning. He, Hashem, made a covenant with Avraham. The making of the covenant was from above. How much more so the mitzvah of the bris that's after Matan Torah. Top of the next page, 943. The Rambam, Pirush Mishnah, like the Rambam writes in his commentary on Mishnah, is loy mishum shekach nitztav Avram, that we do not perform the mitzvah of milah these days because Avraham Avinu was commanded. But rather because Moshe Rabbeinu was commanded to do so by the giving of the Torah. This means that the mitzvah of milah is received the very power of all the rest of the mitzvahs of Torah, which it did not have when Avraham Avinu first had the bris milah. So too it's understood concerning our matter. Just like we said about the bris milah by Avraham Avinu, it was that Hashem was the one that made the covenant with Avraham. The same thing, the bris milah that comes mitzad Matan Torah is also something that we received from above. It wasn't something that was the level of our level. Like we also explained before, that there's a level of Ora from the word receiving, and there's a level of Ora, Torah, the way it was given by Matan Torah is just shining from above, and Ora is the source of Torah that makes that Ora. That only happens through our Kabbalah. The same thing we said, there's two levels in Simcha, and the same thing, there's two levels in Milah. The bris milah, the way it's a mitzvah from Matan Torah, but that was only what came from above. Now it has to be what we are doing. That was also the novelty through Yidden being in a level of Yehudim. There should be the level of Sasan going on Milah from below. And the self-sacrifice from the power of the one below. Then the bris reaches much, much higher than Seder Ishtalshlus, than if it would have been just from above. But seemingly the bris milah already is higher than Seder Ishtalshlus. So he says, the afshe bris milah b'chlal ksiv lametzeach al shminis, though in the bris milah in general it says to the choir master on the 8th. What's it mean concerning the 8th? That it's the bris milah was given on the 8th day, but it's also indicating the 8th level. It reaches the 8th level. That's beyond the chain order of descent of the 7 attributes. Even higher than the midas, there's higher upon high. Each one is above them, and there's even higher than that. So even though there is a level, the afsha bris b'chlal in yanu l'maylam b'dvag bol l'maylam atam v'das, even though that the bris, even the way it was given by Matan Torah, there's a concept that's beyond measure and boundary and beyond reason and knowledge. Like explained, look at the Torah parts in many places. Still and all, even in the level of beyond intellect, beyond say the Rishtalshlos, also in this there's many levels. So like to explain a different place concerning the bris milah in general, that there's two levels in milah. There's the bris milah the person himself does, like it says, you shall circumcise the covering, the blockage of your heart. So that's one level of bris milah. And the milah through Hashem, it says Hashem will make a bris milah. Move on. So just like in bris milah in general, there's two levels from this understood. Gam shein adayim mitzvah milah, lefnei hakim shebezman achashverosh. The mitzvah milah shalacher is that it's not the same. The mitzvah milah before the kimu mashakiblu kvar, that they had now fulfilled and ratified and validated what they already accepted by Matan Torah. So that kiyum, the times of Achashverosh, is much more stronger, just like we said before about a document that came out from Bezdin that was validated through Bezdin is much more powerful than something that did not have that validation, did not have that power. That he says, then it's so much higher, incomparably so. So too, it's also concerning the final thing in the pasuk of Lihudim Hitta. It says V'ikar, and glory. And glory, we said, goes on film. But glory also has another thing. Yikar b'gematria shai. That Yikar is the numerical equivalent of 310. Reish is 200, Kuf is 100, that's 300, and Yud is 10, 310. The law said it's a revelation of the future times. All of them are concerning that time. Chazal said, when Mashiach comes, Hashem will give every tzaddik 310 worlds. That the reward for the service of tzaddikim after our actions and service. During the 6,000 years that the world existed, especially during the heels of Mashiach. Also, the idea of glory has two meanings. One meaning is importance, like Haman said, who is the king wants to make more important than me? Pirish Beis Lashon Yoiker. Shemechir Yoker means that it's precious, it's very expensive. Like it's explained in Shara Oida, the Mittler Rebbe, that has over there Mamar Machaneke and Mamar Mampurim. It says what these two levels of Yikar as importance or Yikar as expensive. And this we also say only to the level of Yehudim there was V'ikar. Through them being the level of Yehudim, that they had this level of, we said before, they accepted and received it in such a way that validated what was given by Matan Torah. Should be Yikar. They reached a higher level of Yikar. Keser is the numerical equivalent of twice Yikar. Keser is 620, Yikar is 310. So you have two Yikars as Keser. By the Avodah now, through the Avodah that we mentioned before of the level of Yehudim, that they accepted what they already received by Matan Torah. They validated what they already received by Matan Torah. In the Keser, they reached the higher half of Keser. And in a similar vein, it will be understood what Chazal said, that glory is going on tefillin, that tefillin, the crime b'shem keser v'atara, tefillin is called a crown. Like Yechezkel was told, out of mourning, he should remove the crown, his glory from upon his head. Tefillin are also beyond reason. Just like Keser, the crown, is on top of Chochmah, the same thing, tefillin is beyond reason. Why is tefillin beyond reason? Part of the mitzvah of tefillin is to sublimate one's heart to Hashem and sublimate one's brain. So in other words, we are going to a level that's higher than my intellect. My intellect says so, but I'm putting my intellect aside for something higher. It's still not the same. The tefillin, which is the idea of the sublimation of my intellect, the way it comes from above, that Hashem held the mountain over them like a barrel, to the sublimation of my mind and my heart to Hashem when it comes, because of the avodah down here below, because of, like it says, Adam writes a bekav shaloy, a person who wants his own measure, then the measure, 9 measures of someone else that he gets a gift. This is especially so since the self-sacrifice for Hashem, the times of Purim was almost an entire year. Though there are different changes in times throughout the year, despite that, they held on to that self-sacrifice, which self-sacrifice shows on reaching beyond reason. We could say, this is the idea similar to what's explained in the Mamorim, that speaks about the lulav and esrog. It speaks over there, what is the esrog's quality? He lives in the tree for an entire year. The not only does he grow throughout the entire time of the change of the seasons, in other words, the change of the seasons do not negatively impact the esrog like it would do in other fruits that are seasonal and grow only certain times of year. But additional to this, he actually grows from the different seasons, that the changes add to him. So the Rebbe applies that same concept on his own to the idea of the Yidden's withstanding the test of Mesiras Nefesh for almost an entire year, from when the Gzeira took place in Nisan till the next year. So Mesiras Nefesh was on the Purim Sotus, the self-sacrifice of the time of Purim. Not only did the changes of the times not weaken the self-sacrifice, even more so throughout the different times throughout the year, they rose up higher in holiness and self-sacrifice. Milas mitzvahs had film v'shibud alev ha'moyach. With all this understood the advantage of the mitzvah of film and sublimating our heart and our brain. Shal yodam that takes place through the mitzvah. That obviously the sublimation of my mind and heart that takes place after standing a whole year in Mesiras Nefesh is of a whole different quality than just the ordinary sublimating my heart and my mind that took place by Matan Torah. That's what it means through being in a level of La Yehudim, like we said before, which is about Haida, Mesiras Nefesh, and fulfilling what they already accepted in Matan Torah. They reach and even the higher level of Yikar, the higher half of Keser. So now he concludes, this is the general avoid of the Yidden in the time of Purim. They were in the level of Yehudim, the Yehudi, who is the Yehudi? Someone that admits the entire Torah and denies Avodah Zarah. Behind this means the idea also through his admitting with the power and self-sacrifice in the entire Torah. Aideism is patelis kol avodah zarah shaboilum. Through that, every avodah zarah in the world becomes nullified. Shazo achana l'kiyum hayidus ruach hatumah v'noretz is a preparation for the fulfillment of the promise that the spirit of Tumah will remove from the earth. Mashiach comes, and only be holiness. In addition to this, the Geshem just like in Mashiach's times, it says that the glory of Hashem will become revealed, and all flesh will see together. That the revelation of holiness will be in such a manner that in the entire creation they will see that with the eyes of flesh that Hashem's mouth spoke. In a similar vein was by Megillus Esther. Though, how do we derive Esther from the Torah? Because it says, I will surely conceal my face, which indicates it's a time of concealment and covering. Because it continues in the pasuk, I will surely conceal my face in that day. The Yom Chassidus explains that day shows on Revelation. He called the light, he called it day. That also the advantage of the concealment itself will become revealed. The Purim is connected with the service of Purim. The Gam is even at a time when we're still considered in Golus, we're still servants of Achashverosh. The person is obligated to become inebriated on Purim until he doesn't know. That he doesn't know indicates it's an avodah beyond measure and boundary. It's beyond reason and knowledge. It permeates also the body. We see in a revealed way that even the body itself doesn't know. This is also the advantage of the lot that was thrown on Purim by Haman versus the lottery that was done in Yom Kippur to determine which goat would go to the Azazel, which goat would be offered in the Beis Hamikdash. That's why the day of Kippurim is only like Purim, with a chav that only shows that it's similar, like the Tikkun Zohar says. On Yom Kippur, the revelation is not capable to come down eating and drinking, and that's why you can't eat and drink on Yom Kippur. As opposed to Purim, there is eating and drinking, and even more so, a lot of eating and drinking. Which means that it's an avoid with the body, whereas Yom Kippur, we're denying the body and not integrating the body. So he says, we come to the level where he doesn't know to differentiate between Kirstis Haman to benches Mordechai Shepashut Etzli. It's obvious by him the B'shayches Lahaman Tzarklius or Haman B'shayches Mordechai Tzarklius Baruch Mordechai. It's when it comes to Haman, you have to curse Haman. When it comes to Mordechai, you have to bless Mordechai. If you say to him, it's even more so. Similar to the explanation of Baal Shem Tov, the pasuk turn away from bad and do good. You need to turn away from the bad and not stop over there, not just desert the bad, but now, once you left the bad, and afterwards you have to take it and turn it over to good. That's what it means. Sur merah, and make the bad, v'asei, and make that bad, toiv, good. Al derech in a similar vein, mahapeches haman l'toiv. That's what it means, ad lo yoda ben or haman l'baruch mordechai. He doesn't know because he's transforming Haman to good. It's transforming dark to light and bitter to sweet. Like it says in the Megillah, that it was transformed. That the house of Haman was given to Mordechai the Jew, and so to the ring of that gave Haman the power to be able to send out these letters and so on was given to Mordechai. It's all about the transformation of Haman to good. And it concludes with the bracha of This is the state situation where Yidden are found at the end of the time of Golos. Like the simple meaning of the pasuk is, that's why Mordechai the Jew was the viceroy. And when it comes to many things, he needs nature and he needs to have the government because we're still in Golos. Avlaf became still in all Malchus that the kingship is in such a way the kings are taking care of you and their officers are your nursemaids. They fulfill what Mordechai Yehudi commands them to do. And anyone who is from the nation of Mordechai will not kneel and not bow down, just like Mordechai. The nations listen to him, and the officers follow their commands. The Yekuim Boim besides Mount Gauls should be filled by us. And at the end of the time of Gauls, where it says like where it says that for the Jews was light and joy and happiness and glory and all the meanings beginning from the simple meaning light and joy and happiness and glory should be to us. But in actuality down here below 10 handbreadths, this should be a close preparation for the future redemption. As we know, the Gula of Purim goes close to the Gula of Pesach, but it's also indicating the Gula Asidah, the Gula the by from the Smicha Mamish in a way that's very close, not to wait a month until Pesach. The Gula the Mitzvah the flow is the redemption that, like the days of the land, you're going out of the land of Mitzrayim, I'll show you wonders. The Gula Zu Tavi B'Meichodesh Adar, this redemption of Mashiach's times, it's like Gulas Mitzrayim, should come the days of the month of Adar, Shabari Mazel, V'Tokef Mazel, that its Mazel is healthy, its Mazel is strong. So if the Gula comes in Adar, so automatically when Nisan comes, we're in a state of full freedom. We set up this Darim in Yerushalayim, the holy city, in the Beis Hamikdash, like we say in the Haggadah, we will eat over there from the Karbonis, from the Karban Pesach, because we're immediately redeemed, from the true and complete redemption, immediately, mamash.